Well, good morning out there, Steelers Nation. You guys are watching Steel City Renegades. We are live here on Redline Radio for a very special edition of Steel City Renegades. We got Ryan Neff, our Chiefs fan, in the house joining us for our second consecutive show. Ryan, how you doing today?
Happy Christmas Eve, everybody. Merry Christmas to everybody. Big matchups tomorrow. Yeah, man. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of it here.
Absolutely, we are. And then we got Dees, who is just joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, our new co-host Chipper is not with us today. He's still feeling a little bit under the weather, so hopefully he can be back next week here on the show. Thank you guys for taking time out of your Christmas Eve away from your family to join us. Sit back and watch and get some.
You're doing me a favor.
But anyway, Dees, how's your morning going? What you got looking forward to Christmas besides the Steelers game that starts at 1:00?
The usual, got my brother and his family coming out this way today. Then tomorrow we'll be doing the ham and all that good stuff and just playing video games and hopefully celebrating something around 3:30.
So when you say video games, what's on the docket for tomorrow on the video games?
Usually I play DayZ. It's like a zombie apocalypse survival type game. Or I play, funny enough, NBA 2K.
Oh, you got the new NBA 2K? I seen it.
Oh yeah, I'm a diehard NBA guy. Although this year I believe it's the worst one they've put out ever. I don't play it nearly as much, so I play mostly DayZ.
Really? Because I thought about maybe asking Santa Claus for that, maybe getting it as a stocking stuffer. I seen it for $30 at Walmart, so it's not worth it.
Well, it depends on what you want to do with it. Like if you're like I play what's called like my career, my player. So I create players and go play against other people. And as somebody that plays it every year, it's not great. Like they've just, I don't know, they've changed a lot of the way that the gameplay mechanics work. And it's not just me. I mean, you can Google it, YouTube it. Everybody's pissed off about what they did. If you want to like go in with a franchise and like actually play with the real NBA guys, then yeah, it's a solid game.
Well, then I guess I might be making a trip to Walmart here today to go buy that game for myself. I'll be my own secret Santa.
Yeah, like if you want to take the Cavs to the title, it's a fun game in that aspect.
Okay. Ryan, what do you got planned for tomorrow besides opening up gifts? And do you play video games?
No, I'm at my brother-in-law and my sisters. I took them out for their Christmas present, which was dinner yesterday. We went to Seasons 52 down in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. And then tomorrow I'll just be sitting around, watching the games. Tonight it'll be we're going to some of their friends' house. And then every Christmas Eve, what I normally do is I watch my 4 standard Christmas specials. It'll be Frosty, followed by the Grinch, followed by Charlie Brown, and we ended on Rudolph.
Nice.
So real quick, you might piss some people off here. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I don't know. It's always 50-50 with people. I say it's not a Christmas movie just because the movie is based around Christmas does not make it a Christmas movie.
John McClane saves Christmas for a lot of those people. It is a Christmas movie.
Well, let's hope we have a Christmas miracle tomorrow in Pittsburgh, and somehow, some way, our Steelers can beat your Kansas City Chiefs, Ryan. And you've been saying this for the past couple of weeks. You actually think that the Steelers might get this one, and why is that?
I just think right now the game is more important to Pittsburgh than it is Kansas City. I believe we're 2 games up on Buffalo. When Buffalo lost to the Rams, we were 2 up. We can afford to lose this game going into the last week. I believe we have the Broncos. I still have to see that out of the Broncos for them to be. I mean, they should have beat us the first time. But I just think, I don't think Pittsburgh wants to go into the playoffs as a 5 seed or even a 6 seed. So I just think that Pittsburgh will want this game more. I think it'll be a competitive game, but I just think Pittsburgh at home on Christmas. I just it's going to be close, but I just think Pittsburgh ekes it out because they need this game more than Kansas City does.
I tend to agree with you there. Pittsburgh needs to get back on the winning track, and talking about the elite defense that we talked about on Sunday again. I went back and watched the last couple games highlights, and we've given up over 850 yards offensively to two teams back to back. That's really not good for this so-called elite defense that we're supposed to have, even though we have injuries and whatnot that I know you're going to talk about. But I also went back and watched some playoff games. Ben's last playoff game, which we got humiliated by Kansas City. I think it was 42 to 21.
Do you need a therapist? Why would you put yourself through all that pain?
Because I wanted to see if there was anything that I could take away from them games to talk about, and there absolutely wasn't. And plus, going back to watch them, Ben's last playoff game. I was at Ben's last game in Pittsburgh when he was there. It was actually pretty cool. But getting back to tomorrow's game, I really think this is a must-win for Pittsburgh. This is a statement game for them. I mean, I know we've had the last 3 games, and we talked about this on shows previous, that this is a brutal part of the schedule. 3 games in 11 days, and it's very tough for the Steelers team. And a lot of people are starting to lose just a tad bit of faith into Russell Wilson that they've had, when they said, oh, he turned the corner and you could sign him 2 to 3 more years. Now I just read something today that they might not even renew his contract, or they might not sign him after this year, depending on how he plays after this game.
I mean, Tomlin loves him. Look, the bottom line is, yes, we gave up all those yards to 2 teams. We haven't looked good, but next man up regardless. There's still very key injuries, especially Deshaun Elliott, Larry O, things like that. Not to mention, Philly and Baltimore are 2 of the top offenses in the NFL, okay? And despite all that, in both of those games individually, you can literally take 3 or 4 plays that didn't go our way, whether it was penalties that were called that shouldn't have been, punches thrown, fumble, blah, blah, blah. And those games are totally different and possibly even flip the other way. But yeah, we haven't looked good this week. Everybody, with the exception of Joey Porter, is expected to go. Last I heard, anyway. I know that Elliott and Pickens are all but a go. Still haven't heard. Dante Jackson says he feels good enough to play. Haven't heard much about Larry O. But let's get healthy, and then I'll start to make that kind of assessment as far as whether or not this is a team that can actually make noise. I think it is. Russ hasn't been turning the ball over most of the year. So he had a bad game.
2 turnovers and 2 turnovers this game.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm not going, oh, get him out of here. He had a bad game. He made a great play, and then just the last 3 steps of it when he should have went down, he didn't. He fumbled. The pick 6, that was just a bad throw. He overthrew him to the outside, served it up on a platter. He hasn't done that a lot this year, so I'm not going to throw him under the bus for that.
Well, I know that you say that he should have slid and whatnot, but your Hall of Fame quarterback, 2-time Super Bowl winning, like Ben Roethlisberger, was on his podcast and said that he would have done the same exact thing that Russell had, and he said that Russell explained it the proper way to after the in the press conference, saying, "Hey, I thought I had a step. I didn't know that guy was that fast, and things that in the NFL happen a lot faster than what people see in real life." He says he thought that he had, or what people see on TV, said he thought he had the extra step, and unfortunately, he didn't, and he takes full responsibility for both turnovers in a game, and that's what Ben said. And Ben also said that, Ben said that he's starting to lose a little bit of faith in Russell and the play calling and this defense that people call elite. So that's coming from your Hall of Fame quarterback, who, by the way, they don't even reach out and talk to Ben, like the Steelers organization. Like, he says he talks to Pat Fryermuth every day via text message. And he's always asking Pat on how the morale is in the locker room and how things are going. And he says everything's good. He goes, sometimes things are written the way that, or the way things are written are not always the way that it seems to be. Hey, what's up with your cat there, Ryan? What's his name?
One of my sister and brother-in-law's cats. She's up She's up on the desk here. So.
Oh, well, nice, nice having her on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ben says that, and he also says that if Steelers can, like you said, if they can get healthy, he does think that they can make a run in the playoffs and whatnot. And he says that this is kind of a trap game for Kansas City as well. He said that they haven't been really playing good, and he goes some of them turnovers and not putting the ball in the end zone can hurt them in this game because Pittsburgh has a good defense.
This game for me is going to boil down to Pittsburgh needs to sustain drives. Keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. Look, Kansas City's defense is going to show up and show out. They have all year. But again, Pittsburgh has to sustain drives to keep that offense off the field. And look, even when Kansas City's offense is on the field, it's not like they're lighting it up. So Pittsburgh's also going to have to win the turnover battle. So I think Pittsburgh's in the top 5 or 6 in interceptions wise.
We're leading the league in takeaways.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, Patrick Mahomes has a propensity to throw interceptions. I think the game will come down to whoever wins the turnover battle. And if Pittsburgh can sustain drives, I think if they do that, Pittsburgh wins. If they can't sustain drives and Kansas City's offense gets on the field, when it comes crunch time, they know what they have to do to bleed the clock. So, but again, I'm still leaning Pittsburgh because I just, you back a dog into a corner and it's Christmas and you're at home. I just think it's just a gut feeling, man. I just think Pittsburgh wins the game.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying all the good things, Ryan, and for me and Dees to jump on the bandwagon. Well, at least I'm not, or to jump on the bandwagon, but I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I'm still going to say that we don't win another game this year by the way we've played the last 2 games. Whether we're healthy or not. I mean, I haven't seen anything from this team to say, okay, yeah, we can make a deep playoff run in this. I mean, you really dropped the ball by not signing cornerbacks that you need to fulfill when Joey Porter goes out, when Elliott goes out, when we're losing, people on defense. You're not getting any backups out there. Shit, you still got Xavier and Howard out there who's 32 years old who could still play. Why didn't you just go sign him? You got Eric Rowe.
But can he still play, though? Because we thought Patrick Peterson could still play, too, and he couldn't.
But there's a difference between Patrick Peterson and him. He's willing to play a couple snaps a game. Patrick Peterson thought he was going to come in and set the world on fire. That's the difference. Believe you me, I loved Patrick Peterson. I loved the signing. But you still could have went out and got him for a couple plays. I mean, he's better than fucking James Pierre. He's better than Cam Sutton. He's better than them guys. I mean, I'm not sold on our backups. He's better than Beanie Bishop at this point. You have Eric Rowe and CJ Henderson on the practice squad. Why are these guys not up playing? I don't understand it. Why are these guys
they're not better on a day-by-day, practice-by-practice basis than the guys that we have. It's that simple.
Maybe that's it, Dees, but I mean, you got to
Corey Trice. Look, Corey Trice had a bad game. I think Corey Trice is going to be a good, if not, maybe not great, but I think he's going to be a good, if not solid corner. I think he wasn't really in the game plan all that much because they didn't expect Joey Porter to go down. I think he was going to be more of a spot guy. But I think once he gets more accustomed to being in the rotation, he's going to be a good corner. Like he's a lot like Joey. He's big, he's physical. He was great at Purdue. The only reason he fell as far as he did was because he got a lot of injuries, which we're kind of seeing that now. Now that he's had a full week, I don't know if he's going to be the number one guy taking Joey's spot, but I expect a much better performance from him with him being actually in the game plan and given everything that went wrong with communication and people being out of place. I fully expect a much, much better performance out of those back guys this week.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so, because Corey Trice is getting dogged all over social media about the way that he played this last game, and people, the Steelers locker room and everybody's got faith in him, but there's a lot of fans that don't have any faith into him, and especially one writer from Pittsburgh says there's no way that kid should be on the field. No matter what, he should not be on the field.
Well, all of those fans and that one writer, whoever it is, can kiss my lily white ass. Corey Trice has been on the field for exactly half a game since week 2 or week 3 or whatever it was. You know, if you're going to sit there and run a guy out of town because he's thrown into the fire and he had a rough game, and he wasn't the only one. I mean, hell, Minka Fitzpatrick, who you guys have been dogging and I've been defending to death, blew it. He blew the first touchdown to Isaiah Likely because, like Cam Hayward said in the press conference, guys are trying to do too much to make a play. Minka tried to read Lamar, thought Lamar was going to run. He was going to come up and hit him. Let Isaiah Likely get right behind him for a wide open touchdown.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. You not only had Cam Hayward come out and say that, but you also had Patrick Queen, two of your leaders of the defense, step up and say that people are doing too much and there's no communication on defense. So as a new guy coming in with Patrick Queen coming over from the Ravens, knowing what it takes to beat the Ravens, what do you think about that, Ryan? Do you think that's good for the locker room?
I mean, when you lose 2 out of 3, yeah. I mean, now you might want to keep it in-house instead of like doing it publicly, a la Brandon Graham in Philadelphia. Although I think it worked in Philadelphia. I'm a big proponent of keeping that crap in-house. But look, the social media age, players think they need to get a point across publicly for some odd reason. Sometimes it can be good. So we'll see. And the other thing is, this game's at 1 o'clock. The Ravens game is not till later. Ravens are losing to the Texans. You lose Tank Dell. Again, another reason why I think Pittsburgh's going to win this game is, for the most part, they probably know that the Ravens are probably going to wind up beating the Texans. So, and again, I just don't think that Pittsburgh, look, nobody, Pittsburgh-wise, fan-wise, the players-wise, they do not want to head into the playoffs as a wild card team. You at least want to get that first home playoff game. And I just think, look, it's do or die. I mean, you got 2 weeks. So anything can happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just, again, I'm going to stick to it. I'm leaning toward the Chiefs. Chiefs can't run the football. Steelers are decent against the run. Steelers pass, their secondary, but again, I go back to the Chiefs are not lighting it up this year offensively. They are skating by the skin of their teeth on some of these games. And at some point, it has to bite them. And this week, but they don't have a great history against the Steelers, by the way. So, again, getting back to the original point, you want to call out players publicly, you're more than happy to do that. I think it's wrong, but maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll light a fire on some of the players' asses.
Well, the difference is, and the part about it that I like is that, they didn't just flat out say Beanie Bishop, blew his coverage. Like, they didn't flat out call names, but they also took accountability themselves. Mm-hmm. Like Cam Hayward's, like myself included, we were trying to do too much. So that's, to me, that's kind of the line of somebody that is going to cause a problem in the locker room and somebody that is showing leadership, going, hey, as a unit, including me, we didn't do our jobs. We have to be better. It's on me, it's on them. So I like that. Even though he's new, one thing that, we didn't have a voice at middle linebacker. And I realize, TJ, although you don't really see it too much outside in front of the cameras, TJ and Cam are probably big time. I know Cam is, but and everybody says that TJ is kind of an in locker room leader, but he's not one that will get out in front of the camera and do all that. So I kind of like having a linebacker like Queen that will say it from his chest. And he's not wrong. They fucked up. And again, injuries played a part, but to Dave's point, next man up. These guys have been there. Maybe you're not making the play, but you need to be in the right position. And that's why I'm hopeful that, they had a come to Jesus meeting in the last couple of days, and we'll see big improvements regardless of who's out there.
Yeah, Dees, I preached the next man up, man. But, ultimately, again, Mike Tomlin is the one that has the final say on the 53-man roster and who he suits up and who he doesn't. There on game day, who's active, who's inactive. But you got to trust your players too as well. I understand that completely. But if you know the game plan and you physically see them throwing the ball in the middle of the field and doing a hook route 4 or 5 yards out, and you're doing a slant and you can't stop that, why is the defensive coordinator not making an adjustments for that? I don't understand that. What is the problem with that?
The big thing was it was the one finally Baltimore put together a good offensive game plan against us. And on top of that, we sucked as a defense. We weren't gap sound. We missed tackles. So while we're thinking Derrick Henry, we're getting beat over the top. While we're thinking, oh, cover back here, Derrick Henry's gashing us. Like, I'll tip my cap to Baltimore. For the first time in several years, they actually came into that game with an offensive game plan that they should have been doing all along, but they, like they did against Kansas City in the playoffs, they think, oh, Lamar is Tom fucking Brady, go throw for 500 yards. They didn't do that this game. They were balanced, and they caught us slipping, bottom line.
Yeah, I don't know. The last 2 games, like I said, you've given up over 850 yards offensively. That doesn't look good for a defense going into a short week and whatnot and being tired. I mean, you got three games in 11 days, and you haven't looked good the last 2 weeks, and you've got your defense who I went back and watched. Out of the last 2 games, they've had 5 drives over 90-plus yards to get the other team to the end zone. 5 drives in 2 games. And for some reason, they can't put the ball in the end zone inside the red zone. They're calling Chris Boswell off, which we know he's near perfect in there, but there's going to be that chance or that time he doesn't make that field goal. Like Ryan says, you have to score. And when he said you got to go score, it's not scoring field goals. It's scoring touchdowns. You need 6 points to beat these guys. You don't need 3-point or field goals every time down, because if we rely on Boswell, we're not beating the Chiefs. Russell Wilson needs to have a game where he throws for like 280 with 3 touchdown passes, and Najee needs to have a touchdown. We need to have 4 offensive touchdowns in this game. Find some way to get it done. Hopefully we can get it done.
I don't think we're getting 4 offensive touchdowns, but I don't think Kansas City will either. I think that this game is probably going to be more along the lines of what we've seen out of both of these teams, which is going to be like a 23-20 3-point game one way or the other. One of the things I've been getting a kick out of is the memes going around, and one of them says, this game on Christmas comes down to, Mike Tomlin and Patrick Mahomes, and which one of them made the best deal with the devil to win a 1-score game, because that's been both of their MOs for KC this season, for Mike Tomlin his entire career. As far as the red zone issues, look, I'm going to be 50 this year, and I can say that I can vividly remember a good 40 seasons. I can't remember too many of those seasons where Pittsburgh didn't suck in the red zone. I really can't. Like maybe the Killer Bees era, which was short but sweet. But other than that, it just seems like that has always been a staple of Pittsburgh. And maybe that comes down from the whole tradition of run the ball. And then you're 3rd and long and you don't get in there and you got to kick it. But
well, I mean, I get that, Deez, and you've been a fan. I've been a fan going on 40 years myself with the Steelers. I've been a fan ever since I was a little young guy, 6 years old. I remember the first game watching with my brother, and I liked the Steelers then. And to me, I just don't understand why you can't find the personnel to put out there to get yourself these touchdowns, especially when you have talented players. Like, why are we not using Calvin Austin or a trick play inside there? You see all these other teams that are doing it, like Philly, like Kansas City, like Cleveland, like Baltimore, Detroit. I know that all these teams have better rosters than us, but you got to find ways to get your playmakers to football. And to me, it just seems like this Arthur Smith offense is kind of dry. Like it needs something. Like it's missing something. I don't know what it's missing, but it is missing something.
No, he's got Mike Tomlin as a head coach. And regardless of what scheme an offensive coordinator brings in here, Mike Tomlin is, I want to run the football. I want to play conservative. I don't want to turn the ball over, and then I want my defense to wreak havoc. Bottom line, that's where it comes from. Mike, I go back and forth on Mike Tomlin, get him out, keep him, get him out, keep him. But the bottom line is Mike Tomlin controls how we play the game. He doesn't want to take super big risks. I always say he coaches to not lose instead of coaching to win. Now, he has made some coach to win decisions. Some have worked, many have backfired, but that's just who Mike Tomlin is. It to some degree has worked because he's never had a losing season, but it hasn't worked because he's not very good in the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Ryan? What's your thoughts?
It's as well. Look, you know me, guys. I'm a big proponent of running the football, and again, if you can't run the football and sustain drives and move the sticks, you're not going to get time of possession. You're not going to win the time of possession. And again, it only goes so far that, you run the football and then you turn it over to your defense. But again, I'll say it again, if you cannot sustain drives and you put your defense constantly on the field, your defense is going to get tired. Period.
I don't give a shit how good your defense is. If they're on the field for 35, 40 minutes a game, you're going to lose and you're going to give up a lot of yards. Like the Philly game, that time of possession was 40-20. I don't give a shit how elite your defense is. You are going to get smoked.
Yeah. So, and just like with my Chiefs, for the last 5-6 weeks, they've had trouble running the ball. They've had trouble sustaining drives because they can't run the football. And they have an elite defense. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to last forever. Eventually, it's going to bite you. So,
Ryan, can we please stop using that word elite for the Steelers defense? Because it's not elite. Come on, man.
It's not elite. No. I'm talking Kansas City's defense.
Okay. I was about to say.
But look, if in some games, if Kansas City's defense were on the field as long as Pittsburgh's has been sometimes, Kansas City wouldn't be 14-1. I guarantee it.
Whose problem is that then, that the defense is on the field so much? Whose problem is that? Is that the offensive coordinator's problem because he's not sending Russell Wilson or Justin Fields out when he was the quarterback as the proper plays, or these are not getting executed the proper way? Or is it because the offensive line is banged up and you got rookies on there and you can't hold blocks for your running game? Whose problem is that the defense
the
is
simple answer to your question is yes. All of those. Again, I don't care if it's the 1976 Steelers or 2000 Ravens, depending on which side of the fence you're on. I'm sure I know which side we're on. If your offense goes 3 and out for like most of the first half, guess what's going to happen in the second half? You're going to get fucking run over because your defense is tired. And football is a very physical game. It happens. Look at the Dallas game. We could not sustain drives. Our defense was on the field a lot in that game. We were still in it, but then come crunch time, they got their ass whooped off the ball for like 90 yards. It happens.
Hey, look, I'm just looking at
is a good offense.
Just against Baltimore, Derrick Henry ran it 24 times for 162 yards. Jalen Warren had 12 touches, Najee Harris 9. Again, I mean, collectively, the Steelers ran the ball 24 times. Derrick Henry ran the ball 24 times. So, and if I go back and look at like some of the other Steelers stats, again, you've got Harris, you've got Warren. Use them. I mean, it's a double-headed. You got a double-headed beast in the backfield. But for some odd reason, offensive coordinators get away from. Well, we can't run the football, so fuck it. We're not going to run it.
Well, Ryan, it's because they're not picking up the yards that they need to pick up on carries. I think Najee averaged like 2.3 yards per carry that game. Jalen Warren, we talked about that. He had a little bit. He averaged like 5.7. I mean, so I mean, what's the problem? You carry 4 tight ends on this roster. Why ain't you carrying 3 running backs that can run the football? Like
when the Buccaneers played the Raiders in the Super Bowl, the Buccaneers ran it 33 times for like 96 yards. You just can't abandon the run. Just because you're getting 4 or 5 yards at a pop,
Najee had a better yards per carry than Jalen did against the Ravens. Naj was 4.7. Jalen was 4.
Well, where did I see that he had 2.7? Is that what he's averaging for the year to 2.7 yards per carry?
No, that can't be right. It's not great. Don't get me wrong, but it's not 2.7
Against the Eagles. Against the Eagles, Saquon Barkley, 19 carries. Jalen Hurts, 15 carries. Najee Harris, 6 carries. Jalen Warren, 4 carries. So again, if you're not even going to try to run a football, and you don't really have it in the passing game. And look, we can go back and forth like on this all day long. But again, if you're not going to make the effort to run the football just because you can't run the football, you can't abandon it completely.
Well, I mean, Ryan, you can, because if you don't have the personnel to do it and you don't have the speed back there, like you look at the AFC North and you look at you guys got fast ass Pacheco, AFC or the Dolphins, they got what's his A-Chant and what's the other running back? Mostert. Cincinnati's got what's the dude? Chase
Brown.
Chase Brown, you got Herbert, you got a lot of fast guys in the backfield in the AFC North, and then you got 2 guys who I don't know if Najee can't see the hole or he's not fast enough or whatnot. But I mean, Baltimore, you got what's his name? Hill, 43. What's his name?
Justice Hill.
Justice Hill that are fast. I mean, you talk about AFC football that you ground and pound the game. Pittsburgh, I do believe, is the only team in the AFC that 90% of the time, or in the AFC North, 90% of the time uses the 2 backs with Warren and Najee. That's it. 90% of the time, that's it. You may see Cordero Patterson line up there 4 or 5 plays a game, but you're not getting enough out of your running game to sustain that. And that's why you get these yardage situations like a 1st and 10, and then you do the dumbass check down on 2nd down, and you pick up 2 yards, and then you try to go back to the check down, and you pick up 3rd and 6 now, and then you try to run the football, and you're not getting anywhere.
Well, if you're not going to run the football, the defense that you're going against is not going to respect the run, so they're going to play the pass all the time. So, I mean, you have to try to run the football to break it up a little bit. But Pittsburgh, just for some odd reason, I said that about the Eagles for years. When Nick Sirianni got away from the run, Eagles got themselves in trouble. And now he is stuck with that plan. And look where the Eagles are now. Now they got a hell of a defense, but the defense got exposed a little bit this weekend, obviously. But again, I hate to beat a dead horse. I know it's a passing league, guys. I know the league wants to throw the ball over the field. December, January, the Super Bowl. If you cannot run the football, you are not going to go anywhere.
And
I think the league is slowly coming back to that.
And I hope so.
I think the pass-happy college-style offenses are starting to fade a little bit. Granted, it's not going to be I formation, run up the middle 3 yards in a cloud of dust because of the style of quarterbacks that are coming into the league now, which are all read option type guys. But I do think that we're going to start to see a trend of more run-heavy offenses for the simple fact that college quarterbacks these days are not really being taught to read a defense. That's why I think that when Arch Manning comes out, he's going to be outer worldly because of who he is, who his family is, and the fact that he's been reading defenses since he was probably 5 years old. Nowadays, you have these young athletic quarterbacks who are basically taught, okay, here's the play. You snap the ball, you look here, you look here. If there's nobody, if those 2 aren't open, you run. And so we're seeing a lot with these young dynamic quarterbacks that they're great in college, but they really struggle in the beginning of their pro career. And sometimes it clicks, sometimes it doesn't. It kind of looks like it's starting to click with Bryce in Carolina. And Jaden, it's been clicking for him all year, but let's see how he is next year after teams have a full slate of film on him. Caleb Williams, same thing. He started out hot. Now he's kind of I don't judge rookie quarterbacks on their first year because nobody's got any true tape on them. It's show me what you can do in that 2nd, that 3rd year.
Yep.
And for that reason, I think you're going to see teams start to rely a little heavier on the run. For me,
And
for Pittsburgh, I want Pat Meyer gone. I think he's a trash offensive line coach. I don't care how much money he wants. I would give a blank check to Mike Munchak to come back and coach this offensive line because I think that'll solve a lot of our problems.
Why haven't they reached back out to Mike Munchak? What is the problem there?
I don't know. Call Dan. I don't know. I don't get it because we had some subpar talent-wise offensive line, but when he was here, we had a good offensive line. He teaches technique that, like I can't even imagine how good Broderick Jones would be with a good offensive line coach, not some guy that they scraped out of college somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not understanding it, but I mean, it is what it is. Typical Steelers football. We talk about Pittsburgh. We talk about. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was reading an article about how upset Rooney is with yet another maybe collapse, and part of it is he's cheap. He spends money on his head coaches, but he doesn't give them the budget to go out and get top tier coordinators and position coaches. Like this whole Arthur Smith thing was a shock. We usually don't make a splash like that when it comes to coordinators. And I think they need to open the wallet a little more for some positional guys as well. Go out. You want to win a Super Bowl, go out and get the top of the top, the coaches that are out there, and you'll see results.
Go throw your checkbook at Brian Flores for defense. Go throw your checkbook at him. That's who I want as our defensive coordinator. Yeah. We had him in-house and let him walk. But that's another day and another story. We talk about Steelers that just got waived and former Steeler quarterback that was just playing because of the injury to Jalen Hurts. What did you guys think about Kenny Pickett's performance in Philly?
No, D's.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but he's got all kinds of talent around him. And what happened? He handed the ball off to Saquon, who took it 80, 90 yards to the house. When you play with a cushion like that, and you could just sit there and throw a little dink and dunk slants to AJ Brown, yeah, you're going to look okay. Would I trust Kenny Pickett to lead that team into the playoffs to the Super Bowl? No fucking chance.
No. Well, here's the thing. I mean, he didn't play bad. He was 14 to 24, 143, a touchdown. He had the interception, sacked 3 times. He had 3 carries for 13 yards. But look, Jalen Hurts makes that offense go. It's not like Kenny Pickett played horrible. I mean, I know he was getting crucified over here in Philadelphia radio, but look, you turn the other team over 5 times, and you only score 6 points off those 5 turnovers. You don't deserve to win the game. Yeah. Only 6 points off of 5 turnovers. Then you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson acting a fool with the game on. He gets tossed, and then your defense lets them go down the field for the winning touchdown. Now, did they blow home field advantage? Probably. But look, you turn the team over 5 times, you only score 6 points off those 5 turnovers. That's where Kenny Pickett's getting crucified. Hey, but look, Devontae Smith catch the damn football. You catch the damn football, the game's basically over. Yeah, why is he not getting more shade? He's not getting more shade. Kenny Pickett's the one getting the shade. He was put in a no-win situation. Your defense let you down. Devontae Smith catch the damn football. So I'm not gonna crucify Kenny Pickett for having a decent game.
Yeah, he was solid. I think Kenny can and will be a top tier backup quarterback, but would I trust him to lead my franchise? Absolutely not.
I totally agree with both of you guys. Kenny, I'm 50-50 on Kenny. I watched part of that game. He had some good plays and made some good passes. Typical numbers for him, what he's given you when he was in Pittsburgh. No matter if he was the starter or the backup, he gave you the same exact thing that he would have gave you for Pittsburgh. Again, I was listening to some people on Twitter are destroying him, like Ryan said. Oh, he shouldn't be the quarterback of this team. They should go somewhere else. It's his fault. It's not his fault. It's not on him that they lost that football game. Again, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he's one of the problem. And Devontae Smith not catching the football. If he made that first down, Ryan is absolutely right. That game is over. Write the check. It is over. Ball game. See you later. And it's not on Kenny Pickett. So, I mean, for you guys who say it's on Pickett, okay, well, yeah, you got to place the blame on somebody, and I guess he's an easy scapegoat. Blame your wide receiver and blame your cornerback, your star cornerback for out there who's acting like an idiot. Okay, now we get into the other Christmas game real quick, where you got Baltimore versus Houston. Did they trade wide receivers because Baltimore released Deontay Johnson? He was set on waivers, got claimed by Houston. Then Houston released Steven Sims, both former Steelers. Yeah. He got released and he got claimed by Baltimore. And here's the funny thing: they're both wearing each other's number for their respective teams now.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Deontay Johnson is wearing Steven Sims' number that he wore in Baltimore, and Steven Sims is wearing Deontay's number. And the Ravens fans are like, you guys should just retire and not issue the number 18 to anybody because that number's been a jinx inside the Ravens locker room.
Yeah, well, let's hope that one of them favor.
Listen, I thought that Pittsburgh should have tried to, people say, oh, well, they shouldn't have brought Deontay back. Going back, watching some highlights of him, and I got into it after the show, after you guys trying to talk me out of Pittsburgh, not trying to re-sign him or whatnot. I think at the end of the year, in free agency, I think that they'll probably give him another look if they don't get another wide receiver. But he's now probably your fourth or fifth wide receiver. And he's got to have that mentality unless he goes to Houston and catches fire the last 3 games, have a good game against Baltimore. Because DeMeco Ryans is a guy that plays chess. And I guarantee he will have some place for Deontay Johnson. And I bet Deontay catches a touchdown in this game and rubs it in Baltimore's face. Guarantee that.
Let's hope. Let's hope Deontay goes off, and let's hope Steven Sims drops 7 balls, whether it's punts or catches, maybe fumbles out the back of the end zone. And I like Steven Sims. I kind of wish we could have hung on to him. I thought he was a kind of a dynamic return guy. But yeah, how funny would it be that 2 former Steeler wide receivers,
help each other,
give Pittsburgh a little Christmas present.
I just don't see Houston winning this game. But it'll be interesting because, Baltimore, they're a hell of a defense against the run, but their pass defense is absolutely horrendous. So,
I mean, it is, but it hasn't been since the first Steeler game. Ever since they moved Kyle Hamilton back to safety, statistically they have improved tenfold to the point where kind of scary. Their defense isn't what it was, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was the first 8-10 weeks of the season.
There's no receivers on Houston right now that are going to scare you though. Nobody. No. They're going to have to really lean on Joe Mixon, CJ Stroud. But again, I mean, we'll see. You know what the Ravens are going to do. They're going to pound Henry. They're going to mix in play action to Mark Andrews or the receivers or whatnot. I mean, Baltimore's not going to deviate from what they do. It's, no Tank Dell, all those other receivers that are banged up. Hey, look, we're in a new day and age of the NFL. Anything is possible, but I just don't see Baltimore losing.
No, I mean, Houston, I think if they're clicking, I think they can score with anybody, on anybody. But it's their defense that scares me, and I think that's what cost them against the Chiefs. They couldn't hang anymore. The Chiefs made some plays, and on defense, Houston didn't, and that's why the Chiefs scored one of their higher outputs of the season, is because Houston's defense is bad, and they're going to get absolutely waxed when they go to the playoffs.
Yeah, and I'll say this about quarterbacks who talk about the RPO. Offensive coordinators may want to get away from there's too many quarterbacks that are suffering concussions. Look, I heard Rex Ryan on Get Up about a month ago, when Trevor Lawrence got pelted. Oh, I wouldn't teach my quarterbacks to slide. I would teach them to dive. Well, guess what Jalen Hurts did? Jalen Hurts didn't slide. He dove. He did exactly what Rex Ryan would have taught. And guess what? He still has a freaking concussion. Now, with the Eagles, you have to worry about well, we can't really run Jalen on the RPO because if he runs on an RPO and he gets hit again the right way, then guess what? Then Kenny Pickett's got to come back in.
So do you don't think Pickett's going to start this game because doesn't he have to clear a concussion protocol? I heard he might not play this game.
Yeah, I mean, concussion. I don't know how bad the concussion was, but if he doesn't play this week, it's against the Cowboys, and I know it's a rivalry game, but I mean, if the Eagles lose this game, then they basically hand Detroit home field. So, I mean, again, just like I said, I wouldn't start Patrick Mahomes this past weekend. If I'm the Eagles, I'm not starting Hurts.
You know, I was watching. You know, you talk about the Philly fans, Ryan. I was reading some stuff, man. What is their problem with Nick Sirianni, man? You're 12-3, and they fucking hate this guy. Like they're talking about him, even if he goes to the NFC Championship game, they're talking about firing him. What's the problem there in Philly with him?
Well, when they started out 3-2, they wanted him gone. This guy's a clown. You know, then you win 9 in a row. You know, then you're 12-2. Oh, this guy's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Then they had the collapse this past weekend. Now all of a sudden he sucks again. And that's just the Philadelphia fan base. Not all Philly fans are like that, but they've crucified this guy ever since the end of last year's collapse. But again, that 9-game win streak sort of like quieted everybody down. And now we're right back to the same bullshit. Well, you know, he should have known this better, and he should have put his players in better position, and this, that, and the other thing. No matter what the guy does, he's going to get crucified. So if they lose this week, then it's really going to turn it up. So,
well, yeah, I mean,
you know how it is with head
Peterson.
Yeah.
He won a Super Bowl, and then what? 2 years later,
guy
out of here.
Get the fuck out of here. That's just how Philly is, man. That's just how they are.
So let me ask you this, Ryan. I mean, you're close to Philadelphia. You live in the state of PA. If he does not get to this Super Bowl and loses, say, in the first round or the second round of the playoffs, you think they'll fire him?
He'll have to make a deep playoff push in order for him to retain his job. If he, let's say, you know, wins the first round, wins the second round, gets to the NFC title game, but loses, I think it'll buy him another year. If he goes into the first round and God forbid something happens to Hurts, and then, you know, Philly loses in the first round, then I could see them firing him. Because look, right now they play the Commanders. Now the Commanders would, you know, you wouldn't know which Commanders team would show up. And vice versa with Philadelphia. We don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to be like. We don't know how serious the concussion is. If it was a bad enough concussion, you know they're not going to play him this week. So we'll just have to see how bad the concussion was from the standpoint of if it's a bad enough concussion and he has lingering issues, this could be a 2 to 3 week thing. So, you know, we'll just have to wait and see the health and status of him. But and then he wanted to go back into the game. He had his helmet on and everything. He was going to go back into the game. And they were like, no, you're not going back in. And then they held him out. But again, this is like the worst case scenario for Nick Sirianni was Hurts getting a concussion. So they could play the Commanders. They could still wind up playing the Packers in the first round.
They don't want to play the Packers. They don't want to play the Packers.
No.
Packers, for some reason, they're a really good, quiet football team that's making a name for themselves in this NFL season. At the beginning of the season, I didn't think that they'd be anybody, but after watching them, they're a well put together football team. They don't have a big name wide receiver, and Jordan Love, dude, like give that dude some credit. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 2-3 years, and then they turned the keys over to him last year, and now he's a superstar quarterback in the league. Like
he better be a superstar after the contract they gave him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what Green Bay does, but they seem to hit on every quarterback that they get after a superstar. They hit on Aaron Rodgers after Brett Favre. They hit on Jordan Love after Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I don't know what they're doing over there. Their scouting department, you know, can we get some of that in Pittsburgh? Because we need a good quarterback. We do. And talking about quarterbacks and talking about injuries, Ryan, your star quarterback, who you say you don't think should play this game, Patrick Mahomes, it's like you said the other day on Renegades on Sunday, that if he takes one hit, it's over with. Are you confident with Carson Wentz that he can run that offense and take you guys into a deep playoff run? Because if he gets hurt, he's probably going to miss 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it would just depend on what the coaching staff comes up with the offensive game plan, tailor around to what Wentz does decent, because he's not an elite quarterback anymore. Obviously, he's way past his prime. But Kansas City would probably have to lean on their run game more and more. And they haven't proven to me over the last 5-6 weeks that they can run the football, even with Pacheco back. Now, I don't know if Pacheco's been on the pitch count since his comeback. But I thought that the Chiefs should have sat him this past weekend because I thought the defense was good enough to win that game without Patrick Mahomes. This week, again, you keep trotting him out there. Now, if they beat the Steelers, they've got home field wrapped up. Then you can sit him against the Broncos. But with Watt coming off the edge and you got Big Cam Hayward coming up the middle, all it takes is for somebody to grab him by the legs and somebody hits him up high and he gets bent backward. Then Kansas City's going to be in a world of shit. So every time he drops back, Dave, I get nervous. And you can tell he's still a little hobbled. I know he had that run for the touchdown. Again, I don't know what sort of like go-go juice they shot him up with his ankle, but it's worked. I keep hearing shit about, he's going to be like the lead Academy Award nominee for acting with a fake injury, this whole 9 yards. You know how many times I've heard that shit? So
I think he's definitely hurt.
I am nervous every time he drops back.
Yeah, he's definitely hurt. I don't think it's a high ankle sprain per the definition. I think it's, obviously it got twisted up and it's sore. But the bottom line is high ankle sprain. You're not doing the things that Patrick Mahomes did in that game. Is he a little gimpy? Absolutely. But I don't think it's as bad as the dreaded high ankle sprain would normally be. I think he was way more hurt. What was it, last year or 2 years ago?
I think it was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago, even maybe.
I think that was a much more legitimate injury than what he's dealing with right now. I don't even know if it's the same foot, but if it is, I could definitely see that as somebody who has had ankle sprains, and now I can literally roll my ankle walking on the fucking sidewalk. So it might be one of those things where just a little tweak on it and it's sore and it's not 100%, but like it's not the full blown like out 3 or 4 weeks type high ankle sprain that we usually see.
And believe it or not, I played quarterback when I was in 7th and 8th grade, and I broke my ankle, and I had to wear an air cast. And I know what it's like to not have maneuver ability in your ankle when you're playing, and you got to step back, and even stepping under center hurts. And I heard it playing volleyball, and to this day, it still hurts on rainy days and whatnot. Like today, it's killing me. I thought I should have had surgery when I was in high school, but I was like, fuck it. I'm a kid. I just want to play through the injury. I don't want to miss any time. And that's exactly what it was. But, it happens. I think he's hurt. I think they're putting it on a little bit to add a little bit more to the game because, if they go out and beat Pittsburgh, he beat them on a high ankle sprain, blah, blah, blah. And it's Patrick Mahomes, and that's what they're going to do. But, again, like you said, Ryan, all it's going to take is one hit for him to be down and out of the game and potentially the rest of the season. So, yeah, you have the opportunity to secure the 1 seed. I would choose wisely on how you play him and what plays you run for him because, again, this is a good defense, not an elite defense, a good defense with T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, Patrick Queen. You never know who could have a big game for them. But, and this defense for the Steelers needs to step up, get the ball, stay off the field, and let your offense Russ, you need to pull your offense together and get touchdowns and beat these guys. Whether you guys like to say, oh, well, you can't get 4 touchdowns or you don't think they're going to get it, anything's possible on Christmas.
No, it'll be nice. Don't get me wrong. The way these two teams play and have played all year, I see it look, it's going to go one of two ways. It's going to be exactly what it looks like on paper, which is like 20-17, 23-20, something like that. Or it's going to be fucking 48-45. Like it's just, it's just going to be something wild like that. If Patrick Mahomes wants to impress me, I want to see some Byron Leftwich shit. I want his offensive lineman to have to carry him down the field because he can't walk,
Hey, don't talk about Byron Leftwich like that. He's a Steeler legend.
I like Byron. I would have loved
So did I.
Yeah, I would have liked Byron to come and be our offensive coordinator.
Speaking of that, he's not even an offensive coordinator in the league right now, is he? He's not anywhere. Why? Why is that?
I think he's in college somewhere.
I don't think so. I think the Steelers didn't even reach out to him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's working somewhere. I just don't know where. But yeah, I don't get that either. I would have at least kicked the tires on it.
But anyway, we got about 2 minutes left to go in the show. Since we're playing Kansas City, Ryan, we'll let you lead. How do you think the outcome of this game is going to be? I know you keep saying Pittsburgh. What do you think the final score will be?
I think Pittsburgh just enough. I think Chris Boswell kicks a late field goal. I'm going to go Pittsburgh 24, Kansas City 21.
Dees, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bounce back game for for the whole team. I think we're going to see George out there. I personally feel like George was probably good to go last week, but a few extra days, knowing full well, and Tomlin will never admit it, but at the end of the day, we could afford to lose that game if you take care of business these next 2 weeks. And I think Tomlin had that in the back of his mind. I think we're going to see big games on both sides of the ball. Maybe not so much on the scoreboard, but on performance. And I agree with Ryan. I think it's going to come down to the wire. And I got Pittsburgh 26-23 over the Chiefs.
All right. I have
just real quick, Dave.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Chris Jones officially listed as questionable. Chiefs left tackle DJ Humphries is out for the Christmas Day game against the Steelers.
All right, so there you go. Hopefully Chris Jones doesn't play, but more than likely he will. Hopefully we get healthy for this game. You guys said that it's impossible, well, not impossible, that you don't think that they'll score 4 touchdowns. I think it'll be a 31-28 game. Pittsburgh wins. Boswell kicks the game winner in Pittsburgh. And
no, you're not getting off this fucking hook here,
not going to win another game all year.
We're not going to win another game all year. God damn it, no! I'm not going to stand for this. You said it. You picked the fucking Chiefs. You say it right now. You go ahead, so that you can come on here tomorrow and eat your goddamn words.
I will eat my goddamn words if we win, but I don't think we win another game. I think they find a way to win tomorrow, but I don't think we win another game.
But you're picking Pittsburgh to win.
Yes.
That's a man speaking from the heart right there, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, but just want to say thank you guys for joining us here on this Christmas Eve. Tuesday special edition of Steel City Renegades. Hope you guys get everything you want for Christmas from Santa Claus. Ryan, what's one thing you're looking for underneath the tree for Christmas?
A set of Callaway golf clubs.
Dees, you? What are you looking for?
A big fat Steeler dub.
Is that it? That's great. What I am looking for is I hope that Santa delivers all the kids and everybody their toys that they wanted, their gifts that they wanted, and that everybody gets to spend time with their family and have a good Christmas. And hopefully it's something to talk about. And go
Way
Steelers.
To make me and Ryan look like selfish assholes.
I know.
Hey, go Steelers. I hope you guys get the win, but I don't think we're getting another one.
All right. Quote that. Somebody clip it.
That's right.
We will replay it next week on the show if we win.
All right. Sounds good.
So for Dees, for Ryan, have a Merry Christmas, everybody. We're out.
Merry Christmas, everybody.